I better get on the right one. That little eye. And
Make sure my volume's down.
There we go.
There we go.
Internet goes out.
Oh, y'all ready?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Here we go. Welcome to Creative Makers Podcast with your host, Joey with Steel Blade Woodworks, Matt with Wacky Works Workshop, Jen with Jen's Turns, Jamie with JP Woodwork, and Jake with Northside Custom Crafts. Well, welcome to episode 26 of Creators Makers Podcast. I'm Joey with Steel Blade Woodworks. Went a little sideways there.
We're making fun of Jamie.
Yeah,
Red letters here.
That's what we get. And today we got Chris, the Third Coast Craftsman. Bring him on up.
There we go. There
How you doing, Chris?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. Well, we usually start off the show and just ask you give us a little background of how you got started and doing all this stuff you do.
Yeah. Started my love for woodworking and stuff like that back in probably, elementary, middle school. My grandpa was a carpenter and a woodworker. He had a wood shop out at his house. And I fell in love with just making things. I've always kind of had a love for, building little things, making things, problem solving, fixing things, and kind of really always enjoyed building things with my grandpa. And he was just pivotal in me, like all throughout high school. I would take like summer jobs, helping him do handyman jobs, and I helped build houses with like Habitat for Humanity. I would spend like, some weeks over at a time at his house, and just kind of fell in love with it. And after I went to the Air Force and did my term over there, and I came back, I got right back into, spending time with my grandpa and working over at his shop with him. We built a couple projects together and things like that. And then he passed away. I don't know. What was it? Probably about 8 or 9 years ago now. And after he passed away, he wanted to do the right thing by the rest of the family, not just give me his whole wood shop. He was real kind of noble like that. So they they did an estate sale when he had gotten sick with cancer, and him and my grandma were gonna move into a retirement facility. And so they estate sold everything. And I got a few things. I got some stuff that's really, really important to me, like this that hand plane on that work hard, stay humble sign. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's his hand plane. That was one of the couple items that I got. And that's kind of one of the values that I was really instilled in me from working with him. And just kind of like, if you're going to do it right, or don't do it, and work hard, be humble about how you live your life and things like that. And so, when he passed away, I didn't really get any tools or any power tools. I got that hand plane. I got like a handful of clamps, and I just decided I needed to get my own tools. So I went down this long journey of learning hand tool woodworking. My grandpa also was more of a power tool guy, growing up kind of through like the Great Depression and stuff like that. A lot of the folks in that generation, I find, like, once power and electricity came along, they were done with using hand tools because they had to do it. It wasn't really a fun, novel thing like what I do. It was the way of life. And so he was like a power tool guy. And so I don't know why, when he passed away and I went on my own journey, I just gravitated towards, I really liked hand tools and traditional joinery and like furniture design and all that kind of stuff. And so I made a little shop in my garage while I was going to school full time and working full time. And I started the YouTube thing, as most people who are learning a skill or just searching anything, they gravitate towards YouTube. And so I thought, wow, this YouTube thing, this looks like pretty easy. Maybe I could start a channel watching certain people. I'm like, man, I guess they make money on this too. So this is like a real cool gig. So I started, I made a couple of just stupid videos that at the time I thought like, oh yeah, this is easy. And it was just like a very rude awakening, just like 3 or 4 views. And when you look at other people putting out the same videos, and this was probably like 5 or 6 years ago now, and like on the same content, they're like, thousands and maybe even millions of views. I'm like, what the heck? So, but I decided to stay with it, and just because I kind of liked it. And there were some topics that in my like digging down rabbit holes in woodworking, especially like hand tool things, I wasn't finding videos on. I was like, well, maybe I can kind of give back and contribute a little bit. And so as I developed some different skills and learned some things, I tried, sharing that and making videos. And, by the blessing of God, pretty much, I was able to grow the channel to a point. I'm not sure entirely why people decided to watch the videos and the channel, but it grew enough I got to this point where I had this like real sit down talk with my wife, and I was like, you know what? There's a lot of potential here. I think I was around 60,000 subscribers at that time. And, there is some sponsorship opportunities that were coming through. And I was like, I want to do this full time. I'm sorry, I'm getting like an echo. It's distracting me a little bit. So I decided to, my wife and I agreed to quit my job and go at it full time. And it's just been absolutely, amazing ever since. So eventually my wife was able to quit her job too, and just seriously living the dream. I couldn't ask for a more blessed and lucky situation to be in, to be able to build things and make videos and, do cool stuff like this, talk to you folks, so yeah, it's kind of how I got here, I guess.
Awesome.
Awesome.
You got me all pumped up now, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's possible for sure.
Yeah. All right. Thanks you for being here, and thank you for your service, first of all. My name is Jake, for the people at home, from Northside Custom Crafts. For you, I live in Amarillo, Texas. It's super flat, no trees. I don't even think I've seen a walnut tree in person. And I usually I do the icebreaker here. So the icebreaker is like, how much crap did you get for cutting down a bunch of walnut trees that were in your yard? And
oh yeah, I didn't really get. I did get crap from. It's so funny the stupidity of some of the commenters and stuff out there about like, these trees are, I don't know, maybe I should have counted. They might have been 30 to 60 years old. I mean, like, trees are so renewable, and and to think that, like, I'm sure they live in a house somewhere that was built on a piece of property that had trees cut down, or there's wood and lumber that went into their home construction. But I've planted so many trees out here, and it's funny when I get some of that. But the woodworker side, a lot of people shed a mutual tear with me that I didn't necessarily keep the walnut to build out of. But yeah, it was more of the kind of like the naive environmentalists out there that I got some kind of funny comments on. But I just kind of roll my eyes because it's not even worth your time to try to argue with some people.
yeah. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's fun though.
It is. It can be, yeah.
Yeah, they like to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
So, hello, everybody. I'm Jen with Jen's Turn, and need to put my glasses on for this one because the guys like it. So, everyone knows. They get excited. I am a nerd at heart, and I love taking classes. And so your timber classes and building the house and everything, I just think that's completely amazing. What made you come up with that concept, and what do you enjoy most about it?
Well, it's been my goal to, part of just like building out the shop and everything is to teach woodworking classes. It's been on like my every year goal to start holding woodworking classes, from, basic hand planing, like maybe some small furniture projects where I design something where we go over everything from like dimensioning and everything with your wood, and then laying out joinery and cutting, a variety of different joints to create the project. I really want to do some workbench classes and different things like that. And and it's been a dream and something we've been working on for about 4 or 5 years, building a timber frame house. Ever since we bought this property, that's been the goal. And we worked with Shelter Institute, which is a timber framing school out in Maine, and they're an engineering firm, and also they build timber frames for people full time. And so we designed our timber framing class, or our timber frame, with them based on like how we wanted our house laid out, and we did that like at least 3 years ago. And it's just been like the whole COVID thing, like kind of waiting out the storm and biding our time and saving up money and all that. And timber framing, just like hand tools, they're in traditional joinery, it's all like almost identical. It's just using a lot bigger pieces of wood, but the concepts are the exact same as far as like technique and layout and executing and refining, all that kind of stuff. And I took a timber framing course like I think 3 years ago out in Maine, and have built several timber framing structures and projects, and just something that I was pretty good at, good enough that I feel like I could teach a class, the concepts of, building a timber frame. And I also, I worked again with Shelter Institute. They have a really, really good online course, timber framing course. And just to ensure that my students got really good value, I was able to work with Shelter so that all my students got their online course for free. So I essentially paid that cost to Shelter. And it's like, I think it's a $600 course online. So,
Wow.
and that way the students, and if you've ever taken a class, you come back home or like a week later, a month later, you've forgotten so much stuff. So the beauty of it was that students could come here, learn from me all the techniques and everything in person, have like, a coach and a teacher and someone to check their work, do that. And then down the road, when they're ready to build their timber frame, they could always go back and look at that Shelter Institute course and totally refresh on all those concepts and everything, and get back out and practice. So I thought it was a really, really good kind of offering for students, and boy, it was the most stressful and daunting thing that I've ever undertook, planning for that. And it's been something that we've been dreaming about for a long time. And then I remember when we finally made that one video where we announced the class, and I put them, on my website so that people could buy it. Like, I don't think I slept for 3 days. I had so much, I was like physically ill with worry that, because I wanted to like provide such a good, experience and the knowledge when, students coming from all over the country, if they're taking time off work and paying the tuition, which, isn't cheap, and, paying for a hotel and a rental car and all that kind of stuff to come out here and to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row, have your timbers here, have everything ready for these students. It was it was hard on me, but it went so incredibly well. It was all worth it. Like, we had some of the best week on both sides, like the conversations and stuff I've had with students afterwards, and you could just tell they really had an awesome time at the class. And, not only building a timber frame, but, a lot of them are people that follow me too. So they really took a lot of joy and extra kind of value by helping me go work towards my, dream house and work on that. And a lot of people thought it was kind of like a scammy type thing to get people to come pay and build my house, but and I can kind of see why they did. Trust me, it was about a 50-50 like flip as far as the amount of stress and work that when you have students hand cut everything versus if I just do everything like with chain mortisers and different things to speed up the process. It was 100% worth that experience. So I'll never forget these guys for the rest of my life, and just always have that. It was so cool. I'm so glad I did it. And I definitely want to do more classes. And, we have our timber frame garage that we still need to do. So I definitely plan on holding another class probably next fall, depending on how well we do on getting the rest of this house built. But yeah, I hope I answered the question. I went right off the rails.
You did good.
That's good. That's good.
That just made me wonder, did you have anybody show up and they're just like, I'm helping you build your house and I can't even get a break.
We definitely had as far as like tuition costs.
No, like sit down and drink some water.
I did. It was funny. We did. We had our like class schedule when classes due to stop every day, and when a lot of these, when a lot of timber framing schools are teaching a class, there's usually like at least 2 to 4 experienced people. They're going around to like help check layout, help check progress, answer the questions, verify, like you got to check once the joint is cut to make sure it's actually cut like right, so that there's not going to be any problems when you try putting everything together. And it was, and most of those schools are teaching they have a smaller frame, like something that's like a 24 by 24 that has, simple rafters, and they're using usually like 8 by 8 posts, like a much more feasible, doable sized frame. And I'm like, this house is gargantuan, way bigger than I should have built. I mean, one of those things when your eyes are a lot bigger than your stomach when you pick out a bunch of food. We're like, my wife and I, when we were designing this thing back in the day, we were looking at like, we want our dream once in a lifetime house, and paying for it now. But anyways, we had a giant, these much larger frame than normal, and pieces. Our posts are 10 by 10s, our tie beams are 10 by 12s. I mean, they're very big and they're cumbersome to move. It just all adds to extra time. And so we had a little bit less students than a lot of classes will usually do. I think a lot of classes will do 20 to 30 students. My classes were at 20, and we're doing a bigger frame. It's just me. And so like it was a lot of work, and a lot of the students actually, like, the class was supposed to stop at 4 every day, but as soon as like 4 was done, I was like out there working until night. And a ton of the students like they don't want to leave. They don't want to go back to the hotel room. They want to like hang out and be working. So we actually worked like a lot of really late nights, and usually towards the evening, a couple brewskis came out, as long as we weren't,
there you go,
running too many power tools or anything like that. So, and one night, like I live here on the river, a river here, and I remember one night it was a really muggy night. Like 4 or 5 of the guys that stayed real late, all went out and just like walked into the river, and were in their clothes, were just like floating on their backs. It was so cool. It was so cool.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. We cracked the whip on them for sure.
We have one question in the chat. It's from Rouse Woodcrafts. He would like to know, what was the largest timber frame you have built?
I built the largest would be the 44 foot by 16 foot lean-to, which is attached to the shop. Pretty substantial. But not nearly the size and scale, but it's all, it's all if you're not like kind of scared of the size, it's all the same techniques and everything like that. And it's something that I just have been doing a lot of for like many years now, is, laying out quickly and efficiently and very accurately, and proper technique, using tools to quickly cut your joinery out so that it's nice and tight and accurate. It's so it's just it was literally no transition at all for me to do fine furniture to timber framing, because it's the same thing. A lot of people get a little bit misled thinking that you're working with these big giant timbers, and that like your joinery layout and dimensions can be a little more sloppy and loose, like if you're building a stick frame house, and your stud can be a 1/4 inch shorter than it needs to, and everything's within like 1/8 of an inch or or more sometimes. But with timber framing, it's, you're measuring like dead on your line, knife lining all your layout lines, and roughing out your material with your chisels or like a chain mortar or saws, but staying back about a 1/16 of an inch. And then you're refining with your chisels or slicks right to that knife line, and dropping your chisel right to that knife line, and just getting really crisp. Like you're shooting for, the same kind of precision that you would on a nice dinner table.
There you go.
So it just changes how many friends you have to come over and help you lift the thing.
That's for sure. That is for sure. And I have a whole bunch of pieces now, like, because the house after the 2 classes was about, I don't know, it's roughly 2/3 done. But we have like 5 trusses that I need to set, and they're like 1,800 pounds, and you need a big crane. And so I've been building and assembling those by myself on the ground. And now I need to get the crane back and set those, and I need to try to scramble a few people together to come over that will risk life and limb way up like 20-something feet in the air trying to set these things. So that's on my current to-do list to get this house dried in before winter.
Well, everybody, my name is Matt.
You guys want to come over?
Yeah.
Hey,
I want to see a walnut tree.
Yeah.
we had a good time.
They're gone. You can't.
Dang it.
Oh, there's a lot more. There's a lot more. Trust me.
We don't have very many trees down here in Texas, I tell you that.
Everybody, my name is Matt with Wacky Works. Chris, I've been following you since you started putting in-floor heating inside your shop. Tell me about your shop. Tell me about how you heat it. I'm sure you don't have to cool it too much, but how's it all going in there?
Yeah, so when we bought this piece of property, I have a terrible memory. Just like when I talked to you guys before the show, I couldn't remember how old I was turning.
It's a struggle.
I thought I was 29 and I was 30. But I think we've had this for 4 or 5 years. We bought this piece of property. It was this dream piece of property that came up on one of my favorite rivers in the state. And it had this big 44 by 40 pole barn on it. And it was always, again, kind of my dream to build a timber frame shop. But since this was here, we're like, you know what? I think I could live with turning this into my shop, and then we'll build a timber frame house instead. So uninsulated dirt floor, and we just did a ton of work to it over the course of a year. We sold our house right kind of at the start of the COVID scare. Me being thinking I was clever, but being super 100% wrong. I was like, man, we got a lot of equity right now, honey. Let's sell our house. We'll put it into fixing up this barn, and I'll finish the upstairs apartment. We'll move out here. And, so we did that. And then, we got a decent amount of equity out. And then like building materials like went through the roof that year. And then housing prices just continued to climb through the roof for another 3 years. It's depressing to think about that. But anyway, we did what we had to do, and I finished this barn, and we put in-floor radiant heat in the concrete slab, which is amazing. I had never experienced in-floor radiant heat before, and I'd heard from a lot of different people. They're like, it's a really comfortable heat. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, what's a comfortable heat? And so I put it in, and they're right. It just, because it radiates through the floor, and in a normal like blown heat, forced air heat, all the heat kind of rises, and then when it like settles down to about your thermostat, that's like the temperature, and then it's like colder towards your feet, and especially in a concrete. But the opposite's true here. It's like really nice and toasty at my feet, and then right about here, then it's at that temperature that I set it at, and then stuff rises too. But it is so comfortable and warm. I keep it all winter long around like 62, but it feels 100% like a 72-degree room. It's really efficient, hardly uses any energy at all, and it's just love it. So as you can kind of see in the walls behind me, I painted them kind of like this charcoal color because my primary kind of form of income is making YouTube videos, and I wanted a background that was a little darker and had a little more contrast than what most people do in their shop, which is usually either your unfinished wood walls or like white walls. They give you a lot of really nice light, reflective light to work in. But as far as making videos, it doesn't show up on film very nicely. Everything's kind of flat and two-dimensional, and there's not a lot of contrast. So that's kind of why I painted the walls to get some more dark contrast and kind of let me and when I'm working on top a little bit. And I just filled it with, I got a handful of really cool vintage, unique machines. I'll spin and show everybody real quick. I got a.
I want that one.
Yeah. The 20-inch joiner, and then there's an old 24-inch Powermatic planer behind it, and then I have a big 36-inch Oliver bandsaw over there, and then a lot of just normal, your normal woodworking machinery in the shop. But so that's kind of the shop.
Is that a single phase or 3-phase?
It's 3-phase, and so I have a 3-phase rotary converter. Yeah, a 3-phase rotary converter that's like outside that I wired into. I just have one outlet wired right now because I'm only using any of the machines at one time. So I usually just like unplug one and plug the other one in when I need to use that machine, and works really good.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Hello, everybody. I'm Jamie from JP Woodwork. So you mentioned that you were heavily influenced by your grandfather. What about your dad? Is he handy with a planer, or is it like my family where it kind of skipped a generation?
Oh my gosh, Jamie, it skipped my dad. It jumped over him and then like it landed on him and smashed him into the ground before it hit me.
Don't hold back. Don't hold back.
Yeah. No, I love my dad so much, but he like, I'm not even lying, like he can't even like hang up curtain shade rods and stuff like that. Like, and the worst thing is that he's also like, what's the word? He has like no fear of just grabbing on to a power. Like he wanted to come and help me with some of this stuff. And like I said, as much as I love him, I kind of keep him away because he'll grab onto a chainsaw and just be ready to start. I'm like, Dad, hell no. You're not about to touch that thing.
It should be the other way around, right?
He'll just start. He'll grab something and be ready to go to town. I'm like, you were gonna cut something off your body, so you cannot.
When I had this workshop rewired and all that stuff, someone didn't even know how this workshop hadn't burnt down because of the electrics.
Your dad did it?
Yeah, years ago.
Oh man, yeah.
Snitch, Jamie.
Yeah.
He's snitching. He's straight up telling.
Oh, yeah.
So, kind of, when you were showing your tools and stuff, what made you I'm assuming being that you grew up around your grandpa doing woodworking, what made you go the route of old tools like that? I think they're cool, but instead of going with more modernized, the newer stuff out on the market, what made you go that route with those bigger old machines like that?
Yeah. Are you talking about like the old machinery?
Yeah, the old machinery.
Yeah. I don't know. So I'm a bit of an old soul kind of guy. As far as I do like the power tool that does the most work, the table saw. I do have a saw stop, and I wouldn't trade that for like maybe someday I would get an additional cool old table saw with like a sliding table. But I really like the technology of that, especially that sensing technology that would stop the blade if I got stupid.
Well, you got your dad.
Yeah, I do got a little bit of hand in me, so there's a huge possibility it could just.
It's in the genes,
I could get a little tick and just run my hand right through it.
I call that the keep your digits technology.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm a big fan of like, just cool old stuff. And one of my very first successful projects was like this traditional workbench that that I'm at right now, and then there's one behind me. Traditional like work holding down pieces of wood that you're going to plane or cut or do whatever. This old workbench with just its dog holes in it and things like a hold fast, which is just a bent piece of metal. Yeah. Do an absolutely, I don't think any of the suction stuff out there, any of those T-tracks, any of that stuff does a more efficient and better job of like holding your work down quickly and efficiently for you than like these old workbenches with that old technology. And I don't think there's any new modern machines, I know for a fact, that are built as good as some of those old, giant chunks of iron. Yeah. So when you can find them that, they haven't been destroyed, like they're going to last another 100 years. So there's a huge cool factor. I just think they're really cool. And I do have I have a handful of, newer stuff, but, I'm not like somebody I'm also not a diehard person. Like some people are like really into a certain thing. I like what I think's cool, but I don't go too crazy down rabbit holes. Like all my hand planes behind me, I don't care if they're like a Type 11 or Type 12 or a Stanley Bedrock or any of this kind of stuff. I find like a good one that works really well. I tune it up and I can use it as good as most people out there. I use them all the time. I'm pretty good with them, and I don't like get kind of too caught up in one thing or the other. I'm a huge fan of this side. Our American Western style planes, but I'm a huge fan of Japanese hand saws. Yeah. And so I just gravitate like what I like, what I use. That's what I like and use, and I don't just kind of like go all in on one thing. Same with using power tools and hand tools. I really take kind of pride in the craftsmanship of like finishing and cutting my joinery by hand. So like when I build a project, all my mortise and tenons and dovetails, I like cutting those by hand, and I like just the work of it, and I like the kind of sense of fulfillment and reward that like I did that part by hand. But I have no desire to cut or rip my boards down by hand and plane them all dimensional. So I use like my power tools for roughing work and a lot of that like monotonous, super time consuming stuff. And I think it's important that a lot of people practice their craftsmanship and finish stuff by hand. I'm not like a big fan of like dominoes and stuff. Hopefully I'm sure some of you guys have it, don't take offense, but I think people should be cutting mortise and tenons rather than using dominoes. And I know like production shops and stuff, obviously if you're making a living like having to turn stuff out, that's one thing. But don't be afraid of I try to encourage people, don't be afraid to start use some of those hand tools. You'll get better a lot quicker than you think.
Right. Yeah, one thing that I want to try to get into more is hand tool work, and I recently started messing with one. It's nothing, just a cheapo, but I really enjoyed using the hand plane. It was pretty cool. I'm more of a, I guess, want to get the stuff done quicker, so I got the more modernized tools, and I don't know that some people may call it cheating, but no, it's pretty cool when you start messing with those things. I don't know a whole lot about them, just something that I was never attracted to, but now as I'm getting older, it's pretty cool to mess with. It's fun.
It's kind of like a golf. First time you hit a golf ball good, The first time you get a hand plane to make a good shaving, you're like, ooh.
Yeah, and that's kind of the hard part for a lot of people getting into hand tool stuff. If they just, especially hand plane. Hand plane can be a very fickle tool. There's a lot of, little things that can just be a little bit off to make it, horrible to work on. And the unbeknownst user might have a piece of wood that's not a very friendly piece of wood to be, especially starting on. And they can get turned off really well or really quickly that way. And another thing, like a lot of people think that hand tools are a lot slower than power tools, but like I think a lot of people would be surprised if that once you become kind of proficient with hand tools, because most of us, when we're building a piece of furniture, it's like a one-off piece. We're not like batching out a whole bunch of stuff where power tools really shine. But if you're just doing these one-off things and these tasks, by the time you bust out your jigs and set your saws and set your things and all this kind of stuff, you could have probably really easily or just as quickly cut that out with whatever hand tool. And I actually got some interesting, I just got a couple text messages today from one of the students that came out to my class, this guy named Josh, the timber framing class. He's like, since I've been back, because he's a carpenter, he's like, since I've been back, I've been I actually got a couple hand planes, tuned them up, block plane, and he's like carrying it in his bags, and then he also got a folding Japanese Ryoba saw, and he's like, I keep busting out these hand tools a lot more after taking your class, and he's like, the old timers on the job sites are like loving it, and it's actually like a lot faster in a lot of cases than going and getting like, a certain tool. And, so yeah, I think everybody should be a proficient hybrid woodworker.
Whether I was doing
hand tools cool, because it'll help you for sure.
Whether I was doing it right or not, it felt like I had more control. As to a power tool, you can easily go past that point.
Oh yeah,
no return. It felt, and I really don't know what I'm doing, just what I've seen, but I got in there and I sharpened the blade real good. And when I first did that first run of it, man, to get that curl shaving just so fine, I was like, whoa,
yeah.
I might know. I think don't know if I know what I'm doing, but it sure seemed like what everybody's putting out there on video. It's like,
yeah. There's cool. Not a whole lot more satisfying than like getting a nice shaving with the hand plane. That's for sure.
Yeah. And people in the chat are agreeing with you, saying that actually using the hand tools, it can be faster than the power tools. So
definitely in a lot of cases.
Hey, years and years ago, I was looking at videos on how to make mallets, and I came across your beautiful mallets on there. And by the way, I didn't make anything close to that, but I did get like how you drill the holes and put the wedges in. I learned that from that video.
Oh, nice.
But more now that I do, I was doing YouTube also, but what I got out of that video was that it was easy to watch and it was chill and how you did it. So my question is, do you have a background in video making, or do you a quick study, or how does that go? Because obviously you make good videos because it kind of worked.
I don't seem to be making very good videos anymore. It doesn't seem like, but the world of YouTube has changed so fast, so quickly.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I didn't have any kind of background in any video at all, and or camera stuff. Didn't know really the first thing about any of it, and so I just buried myself in learning how to edit, and then learning stuff about cameras. And I didn't know what like aperture was, ISO, like any camera settings, not a clue. And just I bought, like, when I first my first camera was a real cheapy Canon, like the T6i thing, and I got like this kit lens that came with it, and then the Nifty 50. Everybody's probably heard of the old Nifty 50 lens, which is a really good lens, and for cheap. And then just like practice, and eventually, and I was using free editing software at first, and slowly just kind of got better, tried to get better and graduate up to different things. And I appreciate that. That's definitely the goal, is to make videos entertaining, a little bit of education in there, and keep people watching and enjoy just either the video for the sake of it being enjoyable to watch, even if you're not a woodworker, or hopefully if you're a woodworker, enjoyable as well. But seems like I don't accomplish that very well anymore.
Hey, that's that YouTube's pretty stingy nowadays.
Yeah. It's not you. It's just that algorithm. It's weird.
Yeah. I got to clickbait. I got to do a lot more clickbait with my titles and thumbnails.
I've been taking classes on that.
I gotta be like this in thumbnail.
Hey, I did one. I let one go yesterday where I did that, and a guy in the comments said, "Does the surprised idiot face work?" And I said, "You called me an idiot, and you want a nice answer back." How's that work?
But you see like other people doing that, like I got to start doing that. But
so I told him, I said, "I've never seen you on my channel before, and I know this is your first comment, so it might have worked."
Yeah. Got him there.
Got him.
So I saw the helical design cutting board that you did, which is beautiful. And I saw the designer for that. I wrote it down. Feldhaus Family Design.
Get your glasses.
Family Woodworks.
Right, Family Woodworks.
Yeah,
glasses.
Just in case somebody
Sorry,
wants
Jake.
to search
Here's
it.
glasses. Yes. It's beautiful, and I saw a series recently from Blake McFarland. He also used that design, and you guys used them for two different things, and they both turned out beautifully. He used his to make he does the 3D carvings. So he made a bull out of it. He made a block.
Oh wow, man, that must be sweet.
Yeah,
I
it's
haven't
pretty
seen
awesome. That. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. But and then I noticed that you do hand carving and do bowls and stuff. So I was wondering I was like, oh, if those two collaborated, do you see yourself trying to do more carving in the future? Is that something you enjoy?
I really enjoy it. Like that's one of the beautiful things, and one of the reasons I find myself, I feel so blessed and fortunate that I get to try and do like all sorts of stuff. A ton of my projects is like the first time I've done that. Like carving those bowls that was the first time I've ever done that. That
wow.
That helical weave cutting board. That was the first cutting board I've ever made. So I like to really
nice job.
Think you nailed it.
I like to jump off. Well, I mean, those had plans, but that was a tough. Yeah, that's definitely like advanced level. You and me not being a really good machine, like a machinery woodworker, that I had to like really like dial my stuff in. But I really like to like challenge myself a lot and try these really difficult or things that I've never done before, projects. And I usually find like it's just so rewarding. Like I learned so much by doing that, by going outside my comfort zone and trying new projects. That work hard, stay humble little sign that I have there. I originally designed that logo with that hand plane, and I carved what's called a Japanese like block print on that. I have a video on these where each color on that is a different, like basically negative reliefed carving. And this is the way the Japanese used to make prints. They used to take blocks of wood, carve away the negatives, and then for every color you would have to do that. My video editor at the time like showed me, hey, so you ever seen Japanese block printing? And he showed me. I was like, oh my god, I got to do that project. So I'd never done that before. It was so much fun. Every time I see a project like that, I wish I had more time in the day to like continue in each kind of like sub-genre of woodworking like that. Like I would love to just do a whole heck of a lot more carving, like you said, a whole bunch more of those block prints, a bunch of different cutting boards. And there's Jen, are you a wood turner? Is that why?
I started out wood turning, but then like you say, I see something, I'm like, oh, that looks fun. Let's go try that. And so my most recent passion is laser work.
Oh, gotcha.
Art. So, yeah.
I really want, like, I have a lathe over there that I'm scared to death of.
Don't be scared of it. It's so fun.
And that's another, like, you know, thing that I want to spend a bunch of time and learn a lot more, you know, turning. There's just like endless stuff. And that's why I'm so fortunate, and it's not lost on me. I count my blessings all the time that I get to, you know, do this. I need to do a better job and get more videos out.
I'll give you some advice.
Like a couple months.
If I can give you some advice, don't ask Jamie for any advice.
Oh, okay.
Whoa. Shots fired.
Ouch. Wait, I got a question for Jamie. Jamie, you do this. You're like a hardcore scroll saw guy, right?
I've not done scroll saw for a little while, but yeah, we can say that.
Yeah. Had you ever seen had you ever seen my old like foot powered?
I did. I saw it today. Yeah. I saw it today. Yeah,
I was gonna say, you gotta get you over here.
It looked really funny in the video when your feet were going.
How? Yeah, we gotta get you over there. We gotta get you over here on it. Yeah. You get them pumping. You gotta get them pumping.
He said, I'm going, mate. I'm going.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So, Chris, you know, whenever I'm doing a new project or something like that, I kind of sneak a tool in there. It kind of works, and I noticed that you did kind of the same thing, and so I got two questions on that. Is how do you like your Timber King, and if you don't like it, when can I come pick it up?
Timber King.
Sawmill.
The sawmill, yeah.
You're breaking Matt's heart. He wants it so bad, and you're like, "What is that?"
He goes, "Oh, I got it used." I'm like,
it's the wrong channel.
Brand new.
I've been wanting one of those things.
Are you a big sawmilling fan?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a sawmill?
We all are.
You do a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, I haven't. I've basically, you know, I. That's another thing. Like I haven't been able to spend like a ton of time on it. I get myself in like 1,000 different little like areas, and I used it and I cut for like the timber framing class. And if it wasn't dark, I could take you outside real quick and show you. Excuse me, but all my like essentially saw horses for laying out all the timbers. I have these little tiny saw horses about like 18 inches tall. And then I have a big beam across that. They're usually like 3 or 4 inches wide and like 8 to 10 inches tall. And that's what I will span across to essentially make these big sawhorses that I then lay all of our big timbers on. And all those sawhorse kind of beams I cut on the sawmill. And I did some sawmilling demonstrations out for the timber framing class. You know, part of timber framing, a lot of people want to do the whole thing themselves. So like sourcing the logs, or they might buy a piece of property that has timber on it, whether it's oak or pine or whatever, and they will get a sawmill, they'll saw their logs, they'll make all their timbers out of it. And so, you know, I was able to show the students sawmilling a little bit, and I'm by no means an expert, but yeah, it's a really cool tool to have, and I really can't wait to leverage that a lot more. I'm debating whether to cut all my timbers for the garage with that or not. We'll see. But one of the cool things, you know, especially as a woodworker, I imagine this is true everywhere in the country, is that if you talk to your local arborists and tree service people and say, hey, if you ever have like certain trees to drop off, like unless it's black walnut, they'll probably drop it off, or white oak, they'll probably drop it off for free. Yeah, because it's just like more work for them to cut that into firework or whatever. or firewood. So it's yeah, you can have all the wood you want. So, yeah,
unless you live in Texas.
Yeah. Unless you live in Texas. You guys got any sagebrush scrub?
we cut sawing down sticks.
Yeah. I've always wanted a sawmill, but I'm like, I guess I'm going to be cutting little twigs with it because there ain't no trees down here.
Tumbleweed saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Just wait for it to blow into the saw.
Yeah.
Have you guys from Texas been up north at all, like to areas where there's lots of trees everywhere?
No.
No.
I was born in Michigan.
Oh, were you?
Yeah,
Me too.
Kalamazoo, and we used to go. We used to go to Three Rivers every summer on vacation. So every time we would know we were close when the road would be in shade from the trees.
Yeah.
So we would be like, "We're close. We're almost
Oh,
to
that's
grandma.
cool.
We're almost to grandma's house." You know.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Bay City, so
Wow, that's awesome. The
Yeah.
bar capital of Michigan.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
That
And I'm in
explains a lot.
California. There's trees everywhere.
Yeah, you got big trees over there. Real big trees.
Yeah.
Y'all
Yeah,
just
we have
brag 'em.
redwoods.
Just
Yeah,
brag
it's
away.
It's real nice.
It's nice.
All right. So I've actually asked you this question before, Chris, about 6 years ago, I think, something like that. Right. So you got walnut, babinga, and maple. You have to drill one, sand one, and plane one.
Walnut, walnut, babinga, and maple. Drill one, sand one, and plain one.
Yeah.
Planing walnut, drilling maple, and sanding babinga.
There you go.
There you
That's
go.
it.
Is that as exciting as you thought it'd be, Jamie? Huh?
No, not really.
Was I supposed to explain why?
So the answer you gave last time was plain walnut. I forgot where it is now. There it is.
You had it. You had it.
Yeah, you've got plain walnut, sand babinga, and drill maple.
It's like what he said
Same
this
as this
There
time.
you go.
Yeah.
He's trying to
There you
catch you. He's trying
True
to
to my
catch you.
roots. I'm true to my roots.
There you go.
There you go.
Leave it up to Jamie.
There you go.
Awesome.
So, Chris,
That's fun.
being that I'm trying to get or want to get into hand planing and stuff, why don't you tell the people out there that would want to be getting into it, what are the ones that you suggest that they start off with if they're wanting to get into it? Because you got quite a collection back there and it looks nice.
Yeah, definitely a number 5. Hands down, a number 5. I use my number 5 for probably like 90% of everything I do. It's I actually have a really good, I have a couple, I think I have 2 videos. I have one on restoring a hand plane. So if anyone out there ever buys a hand plane from antique store or whatever, eBay, I would recommend Stanley Record. There's some other decent brands, even maybe Miller's Falls or something. You probably get a lot cheaper. But watch that, learn how to kind of restore it and set it up initially. Sharpen the blade really good. And then I also have a video on tuning a hand plane, I believe, like how to use a hand plane like a pro or something might be the title. And if you watch those, kind of get it set up. But the number 5 can do so much. Not to go down the rabbit hole too much, but you can set the mouth opening and the chip breaker distance from the cutting edge, and you can use that thing like it's the finest tuned smoothing plane out there. Or you can open the mouth up a little bit, bring the chip breaker back from the cutting edge a little bit, and treat it like more roughing planes. You can use it, it's a little bit longer of a sole, so you can joint the edges on your boards a little bit better than you could like a number 4. The number 4 is going to be your most common, but a number 5 is 10 times better if you ask me. That's my opinion.
Cool.
Yeah, number 5 all day. Yeah.
Number 5.
Here we go.
Yep.
Try to do a speed round here, and then we'll let you out of here.
Okay.
The workbench video, I'm assuming that was the first one that went really, really viral.
I think so.
So,
Yeah,
but the question
maybe.
is, when it started going, did your phone blow up and melt and get notifications, or was you just like, I made it? This is a big one. We don't know what that feels like. Matt knows what it feels like. We don't know what it feels like. So
You got a
like
good
to
one
know
there?
from
You got a
you.
banger?
I got a decent one.
He got a short that blew up. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. I'm gonna have to check that out afterwards. Like when I was first into YouTube, I watched things like a hawk, kind of to see how, and I've gotten better over time. Like, most of the things on the house that I'm doing kind of right now, I know they're just not going to do that great. But yeah, it was super exciting. Like I remember my first time, that one like went really good. I'm trying to remember if it was the workbench. That might have been more of like a slow burn one, but it was very exciting, because it means dollars too. When you have things that like all of a sudden and like we said earlier, it's so hard to figure out to know like how to make that lightning strike twice. But when I was first, my first couple of years when I did have, a couple of videos do really well, I was like on my phone, like replying to everybody. And at this point I have just two more. I can't as much anymore, but I usually try to reply as much as I can. But yeah, it was, unbelievably exciting for sure. For sure. It's like, well, recently I just, not to go off the tangent too much, but I finally got monetized. Like I started working with this company that is handling my Facebook account. And if you guys watch any of my, like on Facebook, you'll notice that it's not really like how I normally edit videos. There's kind of like this weird music that is not me, So there's this company that basically re-edits my video on, all their research on like what does well with Facebook. And and all of a sudden, like, and I've only been like a month in with them and got monetized with them. You have to kind of go through these hoops. And that's been really exciting because that kind of like has skyrocketed out of nowhere. So kind of that same feeling again of, wow, this is so cool. I sure wish I would have done this a long time ago.
Yeah, and Facebook seems to be harder to get monetized on.
It is.
As far as for your videos. Yeah, it seems way difficult.
It's definitely it's a nightmare. You almost got to have like a company like help you with it. So yeah.
Wow. My last question for you is, how the heck do you not fall off the roof when you are using that? What's it called again? The giant mallet, the persuader.
The persuader or something, yeah. So yeah, I almost did fall off of that beam right there. And it wasn't using that. It was actually when I was holding a guideline attached to one of the rafter plates, and I'm holding this guideline. It's hanging from like 100 feet up from the crane, and I have the guideline while we're like kind of getting it in position, and I'm using this rope that's kind of like a pretty like hard rope. Doesn't grip itself very well. I'm holding this thing and kind of like provide a little bit of tension, and the rope like slipped off the rafter plate thing, and I like was on the edge of, never in my life have I been like balanced. It was like a cartoon. I was like, my heels, the only thing were touching was my heels. My toes were in the air, and I was like windmilling, and I felt myself like go, and I got back. I felt myself go a second time, and I got back, and like I was reaching for that like rafter thing, and it was absolutely terrifying because that was like the final day of the class. We were about halfway through. We still needed to get a truss on, and if I would have fallen off there, I would have like no doubt in my mind broken bones because it was like on a steep. It's like about 10. It was about 12 feet or about 10 feet to the top of that from the floor height, and then another like 4 or 5 feet of grade that went down to like this really hard packed. It would have been so bad. I've been never so scared, and like everybody was like watching in frozen animation. But yes, I almost did die, Jen.
It'd have been like one of them cartoon mushroom clouds, like.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been.
Well, I'm glad you didn't die.
Me too.
Be careful. Safety harnesses, it's a thing.
I know. For sure needed to do that. But like, and when we finish the house, we'll use those. But it's just when like you going so fast. You have these students, like the goal is to get, a truck, like get it raised in a truss. Like we were like flying, and yeah, thankfully nobody got injured during the whole course of that. But yeah, like safety definitely got a little bit lax for sure to make it happen, and we got lucky.
Yeah, hopefully your insurance company isn't listening to this.
Yeah, we'll make sure.
So out of all the joinery that you do you have a favorite joint that you like to do? Is there anything that's more complex that you like to do?
You'll see in a lot of my furniture the through like tusked Morrison tenon. So I do a lot of like Japanese inspired type of stuff where the tenon extends like past the sidewall of, like a wall, and then you have a tusk or a wedge that is also cut into it. That's probably one of my favorites to use. It's just really it's really practical. It adds it makes the joint really strong, and it's just a cool. It's a pain in the ass to do. It takes forever, and you're really setting yourself up for if you don't if you don't get it perfect, because everybody's gonna look right at it because you're like, hey, check this out what I did, and if it's not really good, then hey, wow, that's a really huge gap you got there. So
I think it looked really good on that movie screen that you did. That looked really good on that.
Oh yeah, I put those things in a lot of stuff. They're a very cool and very strong joint more than anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a lot of old tools in your workshop. What is the oldest tool that you do have in your workshop?
Man, I'm not sure. I'm trying to look behind me. Probably one of those like wood body planes up top there. Those are probably the oldest. Yeah.
That's a perfect segue into my last question. What do you have your eyes set on a particular old tool that you'd like to have that you don't have in your shop? Let's say power tool.
Power tool, yeah. It probably like one of those, a really big old disc sander. There's a handful of like big, like 20-inch disc sanders, and some of them have really cool like molding cast iron bases and stuff. Probably something like that is one of the last things that I'd like to have. Maybe a really cool old like powered mortising machine if I ever come across something like that. But yeah, I'm like, I'm pretty content with what I got in here right now. So I haven't been on the hunt too hard lately, but
cool deal. Well, Chris, I'd like to thank you for joining us tonight. And if you have anything for the audience out there, here's your time to let them know what you got coming up, any new videos, etc. Let them have it.
Well, I'm just working on the timber frame house, so there'll be a bunch of videos out on that, and hopefully this winter, when I can't be working on that, I'll be in here building some cool stuff. I have a really cool, it's kind of a Nakashima style table base, and it's got a river top table. And actually, if you go to my very first video on YouTube, it's like me slabbing up this walnut tree. I think it's the first video that I've ever done. Well, I've had those walnut slabs air drying forever and ever. One of them's over there against the wall, right? Oh yeah, right over there. That one, and then on that base right there, there's a table in the top, which you can't really see. That's going to be a river top, but unlike your normal rivers, it's going to be made out of real copper. So I'll be laminating a sheet of copper to some MDO plywood because copper is extremely expensive, and just the sheet of copper, the thin sheet of copper, was very expensive. But I think it's going to turn out extremely cool.
Heck yeah!
And it's going to have that really beautiful kind of Nakashima cantilevered style base. There's a lot of nice joinery going on in that thing too. But I just not a whole lot. It's just grinding out, trying to get this house.
Not a whole lot. He's building a house and he's saying not a whole lot.
Most people aren't really into that too much.
Regular day. Here we go. Jenny Jen Chin.
Hello, everybody. I finished, well, I have almost finished the lighthouse laser art piece that I'm working on. I need to make a frame for that next and hopefully take it to the market this weekend and just doing Christmas stuff.
There you go.
Matt.
I just got done casting today the first pour for the river table. And then my wife decided we're going to do 2 more. So getting that done and getting
By
those formed up. And that's what I'm dedicating the time to right now.
There you go.
Well, I'm going to be much busier than Chris. I'm going to try and make a bowl. Oh no, that's not right. Yeah, I'm going to try and decorate it as well.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and obviously we have cartoons on Saturday as well.
Nice.
There we go. Like Jamie said, we have Saturday morning cartoons on Saturday at the Cartoons, 10 o'clock a.m. Central Time. We're going to do some resin casting, got 3D printed stuff that we're going to cast, and it's going to be cool, giveaways, all that kind of stuff. Come and see us. By golly. Here you go. Joey.
There you go. Well, I'm continuing on in this office renovation 3D printer extravaganza there. Next week, we have Mr. Bruce Ehrlich with Brew Daddy on the show. And please go give us a review if you have a chance on iTunes. We'd surely appreciate it. And remember, 10 stars, nothing less. And go follow this gentleman. He does some amazing work. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel, his Instagram, follow along on his home build. And that's going to do it for us today. We will see y'all next week. Same time, same place, same beautiful faces. And we're going to pause a little bit for Matt.